I'm really pleased that I was introduced to ginger snaps, because this is one of the few horrors that really truly unnerves me. There are some horror films that make me scared with, jump scares and things, but ginger snaps as a narrative is really, really creepy, and I love it. This was released in 2000 and is directed by John Fawcett and written by Fawcett and Karen Walton, and it stars Emily Perkins and Katharine Isabelle. And I do think it's the performance that makes this absolutely amazing. So the description from IMDb is as follows. 2 death-obsessed sisters, outcasts in their suburban neighbourhood, must deal with the tragic consequences when one of them is bitten by a deadly wolf. And normally if you said to me that this is a werewolf film, I wouldn't have been that bothered, because I'm not that bothered about werewolf films. And I will admit that when we see like the werewolves and we have transition scenes, I'm not that bothered. But the girls themselves, Ginger and Brigitte, I think are incredible, and the acting is amazing. Katharine Isabelle as Ginger is flawless, and Emily Perkins as Brigitte does a really great job as well. And for me, it's their eerie performances that make this so intense. There are theories that this film is actually a representation of the transition from being a child to a young woman. And certainly you can read into that and analyse it to the hilt. But when I'm watching it, I'm not watching it with that in mind. I am just watching it to enjoy what I consider to be a deeply chilling horror. And that's because of the imagery. And I am somebody who is very death obsessed. I'm a crime writer. I spend all my time reading about true crime, writing about true crime. And I wear black. I can relate to Ginger. As a character, I think she's very relatable for me. And because of what happens and how dark her character goes because of what's happened is a bit troubling and a bit terrifying for me personally. I really like the narrative development. The effects that this werewolf has on them is gradual. It's not instant. Things get more and more intense as it goes on. I had no idea where this was going to go. I didn't know what would be the outcome for the characters. There are a few funny moments where the girls are trying to cover something up that's happened, usually a lot of blood, and it's quite, I guess, black humour, which I like, the dark comedy aspect of it, but it is one of the eeriest films I've ever seen because of how raw and on the nose it is. It doesn't really rely on jump scares, it's mostly visual, and it works so well, and I was so impressed with Ginger as a character, with her development, with the performance. I love it. This is a creepy film. I am so glad it was recommended to me. I know quite a few people who absolutely love this. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, not because I don't like it, but because I really enjoyed it, but it really did creep me out a lot. So while I may not generally care for werewolf films, my love for this film completely makes up for it. If you haven't seen it and you like horror, you absolutely must if you can. It is sensational. It's very creepy. Ginger Snaps is completely in a league of its own.